This is a heads up on what we all need to know, just in case we can score this too.
Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. We're going to go take a walk. I'm going to show you what Gary scored, which I guess we both scored. And it's down the hill behind me. So we're going to go down the trail. And I think you're going to be surprised. And I think we should talk about this because it may help you too when it comes to gardening on the free. That's like $1,000 worth of, well, you'll see. Let's go down there and take a walk and see what I'm talking about. I'm so jazzed because I've got ideas, like, we'll see how things go. So we're going to take a walk. We're going to pass the chair garden, which is behind me. I'm going to make you all dizzy. And we're going to take a walk, and I'll tell you, well, I think this is good for a lot of us to know because I wasn't thinking when our neighbors were doing landscaping, and I have known this before because I went to some landscapers a while back, and I asked them, I should turn you around, let you see the trail, but you'll see it behind me. I saw some landscapers working once at a hospital, and I went and asked them, and they were packing up. So since they had a few left, they told me to go ahead and take them. So we're going to go ahead, come down here, and I saw them working on their property, and I was thinking, wow. We actually went over there and looked at it. It was beautiful what they're doing, absolutely gorgeous. And then after we left, I said to Gary, I wonder if this company keeps them, because not all companies keep what I'm going to show you. Some companies do. We'll talk about that when we get there. We're almost here. And then here's where the bees are. You'll see when I go by behind me. There's no more bees. If the story's not up there, I'll get it up there soon because the bees are not there anymore. Okay, so we are down here. Let me turn you around. You can see what he got. So here is the garden I'm going to put together. Hopefully in the spring. I've got ideas. I'm going to call this the trail garden. It's going to be a small garden down here. We're going to get water here. Look at this. Do you see this? And Gary's got a count on them. Let me turn around. You can see them. I think there's 3 or 4 different sizes. These are really nice. Some of them they call 5 gallons, but I don't think they're quite 5 gallons. They don't look as big as a 5-gallon bucket. But boy, can you grow tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, collard, I mean everything. You can grow everything. You can grow carrots in them, but you're going to get, what, 10 carrots per bucket, but that's still not bad. Then we've got the small ones, and you know how I love to layer. These will be amazing to plant something in. It doesn't matter if I'm doing propagating, cuttings, or what. There's probably about 50 plus of there. These, Gary said there were 50 of these big ones. Look how big they are. So these are big. These are all free. Now, what I was going to explain to you, you know what, let me sit down and I'll explain to you about all this so you can be aware of this too. Let me go grab a chair. So Gary got 50 of these. I'm telling you, I've got such ideas. He's got ideas. This is going to be amazing to grow in. These really outlast almost anything you can buy. You can buy trash cans, like the plastic ones from Dollar Tree, 99-cent store, and they do break down after a couple years, depending if you don't keep them wet. They'll last longer if you keep them wet. Now, with this, nurseries have been using this for a century. They've been using this for like 100 years because they last, the plants do well in them, and this is what makes these so great. Now, what I was saying about landscapers is some landscapers, if they're doing their own plants especially, so they're getting small plants and they're putting them into big pots, and then they take them out on the job, you know, what they need, they grab what they need, then they take these pots back and they reuse them until they're no good. Then you've got some that they're coming from certain nurseries or growers that don't want them back. Then what they do, like you go to the nursery, you buy them, they're not recycling them back, you're taking them home and you're throwing them away. Well, they don't take them back because they want new pots to not bring in diseases or whatever. So they don't want to clean them. It's too much time. It's just not worth their time and effort to clean them and disinfect them and grow in them. So it depends on the facility and who you're dealing with. And so this is why you have to ask, because you can't just go and see a landscaper working, piling pots up, and then take them because it may be, you know, these can cost quite a few dollars a piece. You can go to Home Depot and Lowe's, and some of these are like $5 to $8 just to buy one on the side. They've got them on these big shelves. So they're not cheap. So think about it when you're buying pots. So you have to ask, because if they're stacking them up, they may be taking them back for themselves. They may have a facility that's buying them. There's a lot of different things they could be doing with them. But if they're not, and they're stacking them up and then throwing them out, they'll be so happy for you to get them. Now, we found a nursery that was not years ago reusing them, and they would take them and stack them out on the street. The problem was this nursery was about 30 minutes from our house. So every time they said they had them, it was showing up online, free pots, 100 pots, 50 pots, whatever it was. Gary would go run out there, and of course, by the time he got there, they'd be gone because somebody that lived close by would go and take them all. So if you ever see a landscaper, you can ask. Now, you can ask Home Depot, Lowe's, or any nursery if they've got extra pots. Now, sometimes they return the pots, let's say Lowe's or Home Depot, because there's a tag on there, the plant died, they get credit. So when the company comes back, or they give them back to the company, the pots, then they know what was in there, they get credit, and they get more plants. So sometimes they don't have any pots. But it's always different. Every place is different. Every nursery is different. So you want to ask. Even some of the big box stores were doing take-backs. They were taking them back and recycling them. In other words, you don't have to put them out in the trash. They were taking them back, and then they would give them away, or they would find somebody that wants them. So it was working out really good, but they don't all bother. Because again, this is all time consuming for them, even when they do a recycling program. I know another store, it's a grocery store, that tells everybody they don't want to give their floral pots out. You know, the floral ones that get, not the flower pots, because they recycle them. You know how they recycle them? They put them in the bin in the back with the plastic and crush them down to nothing. And let me tell you something. If you look it up, I'm going to have to say about 80% of that plastic that you think you're recycling never gets recycled. Ends up in landfill. So the best way is to get them from places that are not going to reuse them, and they want them out, and you can get them. This you can do so much with. You can grow so much great food or flowers. Think about planting flowers, and then once you can have an area, let's say, where you're planting them. And once the seeds come up and the flowers look beautiful, you can move them and spot them around your garden where you want. Or you can plant your vegetable plants in here and move them. So if I was growing lettuce, and I am growing lettuce this time of the year, and I am running around moving them, I could have my pot in the shade. Though it's getting bright sunlight, it's not getting direct sunlight, and my lettuce is growing fabulous in the shade. So these give you an opportunity, along with totes and buckets, there you can use buckets too, gives you a great opportunity to move your vegetable plants around. You can get on the phone, Google it on your phone in your area, see what nurseries you've got, see what landscapers you've got, and then see what they're doing and call them. Say, hey, do you ever do places, you know, where you're doing landscaping, you're getting rid of the pots. If they are ditching them and they're going to landfill, take all you want. Maybe you've got a place you can stack them. I mean, this is a lot. Gary's going to stack them somewhere and go through them little by little. But if you've got a place you can stack them, you can give them away to friends as well. They have all different sizes. The small sizes, I layer. I could layer in this. I could be growing a cabbage. Let's say one cabbage in here, but I could layer some small pots and be growing parsley or anything, some lettuce in there with it, some other brassicas in there, flowers. It doesn't matter. A few radishes in a small pot. I love layering because layering holds the water in. Now keep in mind, plastic only has one way to evaporate. And when you're living in Southern California, we're dry, and we've been the driest in a long time. We were 6% the other day. The only way the water can come out is on the bottom, and these have great drain holes. You don't have to do anything else with them, is on the top. When you have something like a grow bag, which doesn't work for a lot of plants for me here because it dries all along. You're constantly watering it like 3-4 times a day. Where in something like this, I'm watering it once a day on hot days, maybe twice a week on regular weather days when it's not too hot. Because the water can't come through the plastic. These plastics are really good. Now let me tell you something. I've done a lot of research on plastics. I got multiple videos on that. They have found out that plants do not have the ability to bring the plastic up through their roots. The only plants that can bring any plastic anywhere near what we eat would be root plants like carrots, beets, and radishes. That still can't bring it up into the carrot you eat, but it can if the molecules or the plastic parts are small enough attached to the roots. So when you pull a carrot out or a radish, especially a carrot, wash it off in the sink, get all the roots off, no matter where you grow it, even lead. Your plants can't bring up lead. Wash it off real good, and the carrot itself will be fine. It's the very, very fine hair-like roots that could get on the very tips as it's sucking through water and nutrients. You could get some on the tips. If you wash it off, there's not a problem. So don't worry about plastic. You're going to worry about plastic in any way, then worry about the stuff you're getting in some of these places where you're buying your food. Think of all the plant food they're feeding that is, well, let's not get into that. So anyways, anything you grow yourself is better. What you grow yourself is fresh. It's got nutrients in it. It's got everything in it, because so much of the stuff we're getting from the stores now are irradiated, so they don't have any problems. I mean, and it can sit on a shelf for weeks, sometimes months, only because it's been irradiated, so there's no good microbes that will get in there and eat it. But then we're eating that too, which is fine, but you may have no vitamins in there, such as vitamin A and vitamin C. When you grow something yourself, you're getting all the great enzymes that you need and all the nutrients you need. So mix it up. Get some from the store, get some from what you grow. But I wanted to share this with you in case you never thought about asking some local nurseries or landscapers if they've got pots, because you could score big time. Now, if they're keeping them, sometimes they might go through them and say, hey, we'll give you some that are a little bumped up a little bit or something. They grow just as well. Who cares? Once the plant drapes over, grows something nice in it, you won't even see the pot. But we do have ideas. Gary's got his own ideas what he's going to do with it. And I think I've got this idea burning in my head that I think is going to be really cool, because you can step back and go, wow. My issue though, and I have an issue where a lot of people don't, is I've got pine trees and I've got pepper trees, which have the worst roots in the world. They will find every hole. So I have to figure out where I'm going to put this so the roots won't get in there, because pepper trees get in and they kill my plants. They set their roots in there and they give something off and they take away everything from the plant. So sometimes you don't even know why your plant died. It could be in the ground. It could be in a pot. If pepper tree roots got in there, and sometimes pine tree roots, they'll do the same thing. So I hope you enjoyed this. You got to see Gary stand there and put all this together, because they said, go for it. You can have it all. And he's really excited about this. And I hope I gave you some ideas on how to score some really free pots that are fantastic. And think how fantastic they are. If they weren't that good, nurseries would not be using them all these years. Think of every nursery you go into. What do you get your plants in? And they stay in there many times for many, many years. Even the growers grow in here, because this is probably the best thing you can get. This is a great score. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so cool. This is really big. Oh, Gary's got plans for the big ones. Oh, wow. That is just too cool.